Hey pilots, this is Craig again with Paraglider Service USA, and today we're going to go over on how to go about using our sewing jig. We invented these about 5 years ago, and they're to guide paraglider lines and all the different line diameters, so that you can sew them precisely, the end loops for each side of the lengths of the paraglider lines. And so these two inner pieces adjust in and out and sandwich the lines, and so they don't try to side shift when you're sewing them. And so, however, to use this device, you have to modify your feed dogs. Otherwise, the feed dogs will hit the bottom of it and make it move around. We don't want it to move around during the operation. So I'm going to go over on how to go about modifying your feed dogs in that regard real quickly here. So I'm going to remove this sewing jig right now. It comes supplied with holes in it right here to mount to any Bernina sewing machine, but we can customize it to fit your machine. And so this is a Bernina B590. It's my backup machine. It has dual feed as well. And dual feed is this separate foot in the back here that grabs it right on the center line and sandwiches it between the feed dog below. So this foot sandwiches between here and there, and it does lines so good. And it's the same with my Bernina B710 because of that feature. I mean, you can still use the other Bernina models that don't have the dual feed component, and they work almost just as good. So no complaints in that arena, but this just enhances things that much more. But let's get into the feed dog scenario. So this feed dog here, if you look closely, I got something to point here with, is the only feed dog you want with teeth on it is just the one on the center line, right behind the needle, and that's this one. And so the teeth that were on these outer legs of these feed dogs, I grinded them down so they're smooth, so they don't come above the needle plate. And that's what you have to do regardless of what type of sewing machine you have. It's only the one feed dog right behind the needle that does the feeding, because you're feeding lines as small as 0.25 millimeters and all the way up to 4.7, almost 5 millimeters in thickness. So there's a big range there. And so this width here, between here and here, has to have only just that one feed dog operation. Sometimes the feed dogs here are a little bit thicker and wider, but that's the one feed dog we want to keep, and all the others we're going to grind down. Some of them have feed dogs here and right here and here, but we want to grind all those down and just keep that one. So that's what's been done in here. But every now and then, this machine, I'll take it into the shop to sew leading edges and trailing edges, or even the cells on a paraglider, because of the dual feed feature. Really helps to keep the top layer and the bottom layer in unison and feed uniformly. It's a great feature to have because of that slippery ripstop nylon. But to do that, I need to put back, the standard feed dog with the teeth on it. And so to do that process, I'll switch these back and forth. Whereas I have the other machine, the B710s, is solely dedicated for lines and only paraglider lines. But let's just get into how we go about changing that. Every machine is going to be a little bit different, but if you do happen to have a Bernina, they're all going to work the same as I'm showing here. The stitch plates just come out so easy on the the 400, 300 series, 400 series, 500, and 700 and 800 series all work the same way. You put in these two little nipples, line them up, and then it just pushes right down into place. And then when you want to remove it, you just push where the rings are there. It pops it up, and you can get it out of the way. Real simple here. And so if you want to replace it, what I recommend is you get a low profile ratchet wrench. And the one to get is called Molwark. Molwark, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but this is what you want to get. And then, of course, you're going to get the bit that's going to be the size of whatever your bolts are. In this case, it's a Torx 10 on all the Berninas. But if you have a different brand or a vintage model, they may be different on what they utilize there. But you're just going to remove these Torx heads right here, and I'll do them by hand first, once they've been, broken loose. And when you put them back like these, this one I just put in because I actually been sewing material, and I just took this feed dog out because I'm going to go back to sewing lines now. And so I set this in here, and I just hand threaded the Torx fittings in first, so they're just snug as a little bug, like so. So just get it hand tight, and then what I want to do is put the stitch plate back on, or needle plate, whatever you call it, because there's a little wiggle room here, and you want to make sure that you're not going to be hitting the sides of the needle plate in your alignments. You want to make sure you get it aligned right. So I'll put this back on, snap it in place, and then I'll run the hand wheel counterclockwise, and so I can see how the feed dogs are running here to make sure they got about equal clearance on all sides. And it looks like I got lucky enough to hit everything just about right where I want it. Sweet. That happens rarely. Usually I gotta fudge it around. And when you secure these, you don't want to really crank them. It's just an ever so slight snugness, because if you strip those bolts, I think it's a aluminum block that's threaded, and these, the bolts are harder metal, and they'll strip out this. And to replace this part here, and I had a buddy unfortunately strip those out, you got to take it to the shop, and they got to take this whole piece out and redo it. I mean, in the interim, you can use Loctite if you stripped it, but that's just you got to be careful. And so I make sure the ratchets go in the right direction, which I'm loosening, so I want to tighten. There we go. So I got it to go flip the lever so it's tightening, and then I'll go ahead and snug these up. This one, feel that one's starting to feel resistant. This one's still got a ways to go. Okay, now it's there. So now it's where I want it, and then I'm just going to give it a little. That's it. Nothing more. You don't need to torque these. Just a little. Okay, that's it. And then I'll put it on by hand and double check it. Because the wrench, I can, with that, the leverage of the length of this can easily put too much torque on it. But if you take your thumb, I'm going to give it a little twist my thumb here, see if I can get it any more, and I can't. So it's really, really good just with the finger, and that's where I want it, and that's what I'm double checking here. If I needed to go a little more, but I don't. I'm good. I don't want to torque it any more than that. And then I'll go ahead and make sure things didn't move in my cinching. And I'll check, again, counterclockwise with the hand wheel and run the feed dogs up and down to make sure that the clearances on either side of the needle plate, front, back, right side, left side, and it's all even. Sweet. And now we're ready to go. So now I can go ahead and install my sewing jig, because I have the feed dogs for that scenario. And I'll put this in here like so, line it up to where it goes, and then I'll cinch it down with my bolts. And if you don't, you can buy these sewing jigs for any sewing machine, and you can use my default ones that have these holes here for the Bernina, because you may eventually want to upgrade to a Bernina, because the zigzag mechanism is all shafts and gears, and there's no flexibility. So when you're trying to sew a sheath there mid-lines, there's going to be no deflecting of the needle, which will happen in a lot of the other brands. You won't have that issue with Bernina. So eventually you want to go. And you could just use masking tape here, here, here to hold the sewing jig in place while you use it if you don't have the holes. Or I can customize it for no extra price, because these are $300, and we'll customize it to fit the length and the width for your feed dog run there, as well as where the mounting holes of yours are different. And for the same price. That's just part of the package deal. And then these go in and out, so this is closing, go with the needles. Let me get this secured. It's not secured. There we go. So I go with the arrows. I got arrows up here, and it opens it up, opposite the arrows that closes them. And that's how we adjust these for sandwiching lines. And then, I can put the presser foot needle in now and go forward with sewing lines. Today is from the back of city. I'm actually going to move this machine to our other house in Salinas, so I can do lines when I'm in Sand City, Marina area, and then also have the capability, which you know I do here in Santa Maria home. But anyhow, I thought I'd pass this along, how we go about this, setting up and switching over from sewing materials back to sewing lines again. Have a good day out there, pilots, and remember to brace your lines with damage. Don't fly with damaged lines. There's no flexibility in that arena. When there's sheath Dyneema and the sheath's off, yeah, the core is the strength, but it's real easy for the core on Dyneema lines, which is the white cores, to melt from friction heat friction from line-to-line contact. And that's how the sheath got worn, was most likely line-to-line contact and friction heat when you reverse launching or reverse kiting. And so all it takes is that same scenario again, and it'll just cut those lines by melting with the friction heat. So you want to replace those and not fly like that for any length of time. In no reality, not at all. Replace them before you fly again. Take care.